Vertigo at Tivoli Gardens is considered by many to be one of the best and most intense flat rides in the entire world. This technical park Flying Fury is affectionately known as the famous plane on a stick flat ride. But despite the rave reviews, Technical Park has not sold many of these imposing attractions. Why could that be? In this video, I give my thoughts on Vertigo and investigate why more may not have been built. Technical Park is an Italian ride manufacturer founded in 1980. The company started small with their kiddie rides before progressing to thrill rides in the 1990s. Eventually, Technical Park found their niche supplying showmen and smaller amusement parks with intense, flashy flat rides such as the Street Fighter and Street Fighter Revolution. But in 2003, Technical Park unveiled something truly innovative at the Euro Amusement Show in Genoa, Italy. Technical Park shared drawings for a new inverting flat ride dubbed the Flying Fury. This insane ride would be the next generation of a booster, or it was a ride that would combine the experience of an Irely Lupo plane and an Irely Rollo plane into one supersized attraction. Flying Fury had two arms that would operate independently of each other. Each arm consisted of its own four-passenger vehicle. Each arm was capable of performing 360-degree rotations, reaching a maximum height of roughly 131 feet or 40 meters. At its maximum rotational speed, Flying Fury's vehicles reached a maximum speed of 62 miles per hour or 100 kilometers per hour. The arms could rotate at a staggering 15 RPMs, subjecting riders to upwards of 5 Gs. During this portion of the ride's vehicles are locked into place. Throughout the rest of the ride, the arms rotate at speeds upwards of 7 RPMs. During this portion of the ride, the vehicles themselves are able to rotate on two separate axes, adding roll and yaw to the experience. The vehicles are capable of rotating about themselves at an impressive 17 RPMs and spin on the axes of the arm at upwards of 10 RPMs. If that wasn't enough, you'll love the next part. What if I told you riders could control the experience? Flying Fury can come equipped with a joystick that riders can use to control the roll and yaw of the ride vehicle. Or the ride can operate in what Technical Park calls emergency mode, which subjects riders to an automatic ride program. This diverse ride experience was guaranteed to provide riders an extremely disorienting and intense ride experience matched by very few rides on the market. The attraction required 4 years of development before premiering at Luna Park Milano in Italy in July of 2007. The prototype Flying Fury would operate until 2015 when it was removed. The second Flying Fury opened at Tivoli Gardens in Copenhagen in 2009. Named Vertigo, this is arguably the most famous Flying Fury. Compared to the prototype, which looked like a tacky carnival ride, Vertigo had a much more ornate ride structure to match the beauty of Tivoli Gardens. Guests eagerly lined up to ride Vertigo on its opening year, and it still garners the longest lines in the park to this day. In 2014, 5 years after the ride's debut, Vertigo was named the best amusement attraction in Europe and given the European Star Award by the Kirmes and Park Review, a German trade industry magazine. So despite the ride's apparent popularity, only one more has been built since Vertigo, and it's a bit unclear if this could be the original one relocated. The third Flying Fury was added to France's Parc des Combes in 2017 and it was named Canad'r. So why haven't more of these Flying Fury attractions been built? Now, I have only ridden the version at Tivoli Gardens, but I saw several flaws during my visit that may explain why the attraction hasn't taken off. For one, the capacity is putrid. I mentioned this earlier, but the ride seats a total of 8 riders, 4 on each arm. That already isn't a lot of riders, but add in the fact that Vertigo runs an incredibly long program and you have a capacity nightmare. Start to finish, I clocked Vertigo's program at approximately 4 to 5 minutes in length. Plus, add in a minute or two to load and unload. That results in a theoretical hourly capacity of roughly 68 to 96 riders per hour, which is just a hair better than upcharge attractions. For reference, sky coasters are capable of roughly 36 riders per hour, and slingshots are capable of roughly 40 to 60 riders per hour. While it is possible that Vertigo could have run a shorter cycle, A good chunk of that time includes the startup and cool down time when the load platform moves in and out of place and the ride speeds up and slows down. These times really can't be avoided unless the ride was drastically redesigned. Second, Vertigo was only running one arm during my visit, and I visited Tivoli Gardens on a busy summer weekend, so it's unlikely it was closed for capacity purposes. Therefore, I suspect it was down for mechanical reasons. For those who have visited Tivoli Gardens more frequently than me, I'd love to know how often this ride experiences downtime. Was I just unlucky? With Vertigo running at half capacity, I was only able to get one ride on it. In terms of length, the queue line is quite short. It only consists of a few switchbacks. And I bet that was intentional on the park's behalf to visually convince people that it has a lengthy wait, because it certainly does. Vertigo had a full queue, and after 40 minutes, I was just halfway through the line. But I did get extremely lucky that the operator called for a single rider, and I was able to bypass the remainder of the queue. Vertigo was included on the unlimited ride wristband, but I honestly think this ride should have been an upcharge attraction considering its capacity. And to be perfectly honest, I'd be fine paying extra to experience Vertigo. That's just how wild and intense this attraction is. Once seated in the 4-person vehicle, you pull down this bulky over-the-shoulder restraint, and the front half of the vehicle closes in front of you. The 2 riders in the center will see the aforementioned joystick in front of them. From what I understand, Tivoli disabled the joystick a few years ago, so now it's just there for show. But it didn't ruin the ride experience one bit for me, since the automatic program is so intense. Vertigo begins with a series of super slow rotations demonstrating all degrees of freedom. I had no sense of direction as the plane spun in circles and flipped me upside down, while the main arm was also rotating. And since these inversions are performed so slowly, you get some strong hang time at the top. Plus, this is your best chance to admire the gorgeous Copenhagen skyline because you're about to start traveling a lot faster. With each rotation, Vertigo gains more and more speed. After the second or third rotation, Vertigo's plane locked into place, and I immediately knew what that meant. Vertigo crawled through another rotation, delivering another dose of hang time, before rapidly increasing in speed. With each rotation, I got less and less hang time. After a few rotations, the hang time was gone, completely replaced with positive Gs. And eventually, Vertigo reached its maximum speed, and I was glued against my seat to experience the full force of the 5 Gs. Now, several coasters hit 5 Gs. Examples include almost any Schwarzkopf looper and all of the Vekoma boomerangs. But there is a key difference between those coasters and Vertigo. Those coasters only hold the G-force for a second or two, and that element is usually followed by a reprieve from the intense positive Gs. On Vertigo, the heavy positive Gs are sustained. You experience the full 5 Gs on the downswings, but you're revolving at such a high speed that I've heard unconfirmed reports you still pull 2 to 3 Gs at the apex of the swing. That is absolutely insane to subject your body to non-stop positive Gs like that. Intimidator 305 is often considered the king of grayouts because of how long that first turn holds the G-forces, but even that coaster pales in comparison to how long Vertigo holds its G-forces. Graying out on Vertigo is inevitable. After a few rotations at that maximum speed, Vertigo starts to slow down, gradually trading those positive Gs for hang time. And eventually, your car will start spinning and flipping again, just like it did at the start of the ride. Except this time, you do so at a much greater rate than before. Words cannot explain just how disorienting this section of the ride is. Because keep in mind, you're still recovering from the assault of positive Gs early in the ride. And so you get a wide range of ride sensations, including some hang time at the top, positive Gs at the bottom, and even a free-falling sensation on some of the downswings when the arm travel at just the right speed. And that is Vertigo, arguably the most intense flat ride in the world. So what do I rate Vertigo? Since I am only evaluating the ride experience and not the capacity, I do not hesitate to give Vertigo a perfect 10 out of 10. Every single thing you hear about how intense Vertigo is holds true. This ride is an endurance test. It is not for everyone, but if you have a strong stomach and crave crazy inverting flat rides, Vertigo has to be on your bucket list. As I mentioned earlier, this ride's capacity is putrid, and I suspect that's one of the main reasons we haven't seen more parks add a technical park Flying Fury. I also wonder if cost comes into play. I could not find a cost online, but I wonder if this attraction prices out of the range of the smaller parks that could handle the lower capacity. I wonder if the KMG boosters or similar rides offer a better return on investment for comparison. As an enthusiast, I much prefer the uniqueness of Vertigo, but from the general guest perspective, Vertigo and a KMG booster look pretty similar off-ride and could be marketed similarly. So those are my thoughts on Vertigo. What are your thoughts on Vertigo or the Flying Fury concept in general? Have you ridden it, or is it on your bucket list? Thank you for listening, and subscribe for more ride reviews here at Canad'r Coaster.